I wanted to try to do what Seth does. Welcome to Christian Men Unscripted. I'm John Harney, here with Alan Underwood. And I know we're missing Seth. I like his intro the best, though. Even though, it's a little animated, but that's kind of what gets us excited to go.
Yeah, that's Seth. That's how he is.
I know. So,
look, we were supposed to record Saturday, but my daughter wanted to go to Magic Mountain, and these come out on Tuesday. So we're recording the day before it's coming out.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that we didn't record because I've been coughing for a week straight. I went to the doctor twice. Nothing has worked. It's just postnasal drip. And it's during the day, it's okay. I might cough a little during the show or whatever. But at night and in the morning, you think I smoke a pack a day, man.
You know what, dude? It's got to be just allergies plus like smoke in the air, maybe. Because I'm kind of having, or maybe you're sick. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like I'm catching whatever you got.
If you caught
already.
it within 20 minutes, then that's a virus. But my family doesn't have it, and they've been around me for the last 2 weeks.
All right. Fine.
But it started, I worked at a camp, VBS. Wasn't VBS at Hope. It was Summerfest, they call it. But I worked with the kids for a week, and it was like, I'm losing my voice. I just thought I was losing my voice. My wife's like, I usually get sick when I lose my voice. And then in my head, I was like, I'm getting sick. And I got sick. So I forced myself to get sick because she said that.
All right. That's an interesting topic. Although I think I know.
Because I didn't feel sick.
While you're talking, because you brought up VBS, I think I want to go that direction in 2 seconds. But first, you just said it. I feel like sometimes, I get it. Look, it's not a spiritual thing. In fact, it's pretty terrible. These books like The Secret or whatever, like if you really focus on it, you manifest it, you can make it happen.
Right.
I do believe there's an aspect of truth to that. I'm not trying to get all weird or anything like that, but genuinely what you consistently focus on sort of turns into the direction you go, right? I mean, I'm not going to get I'm not an expert on this stuff, and I wasn't prepared to talk about that sort of a thing, but I think it's true, too, when you're just consistently like, I'm getting sick. Yeah. You kind of mentally talk yourself into getting sick.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because in my head, I'm like, it's weird. I never felt super sick, though. And then I did a teledoc, like over the phone, and I was like, just give me those cough pills. They gave it to me last time. And
the old cough pills. Just give me those cough pills.
It's cough medicine.
Yeah,
but I didn't want the medicine. They gave me pills last time. It was a couple years ago. I was coughing again, and they knocked it out in a day or two. These didn't work. I just finished the last one, and then I went to the doctor and saw him, and he was like, your lungs sound clear. You might have had a bronchial infection, whatever. He gave me antibiotics. He goes, you should be good. Take these. Took the antibiotics, but I was never feeling like super sick. I was still like living life, going places. But, man, I cannot stop coughing. I cough in the morning. It is bad. And my wife is like, you're annoying me. I'm like, I know. You think it's annoying you? It's annoying me. I had to come sleep on the couch last night, and it's just like I'll be sleeping, and I can feel it draining down my throat, and I'm like, and then I can't stop. Like I'm trying to cough it up. Yeah. Then I almost forced myself to throw up. I'm like, what the?
Okay, now listen. Don't you remember as a kid, it seemed like old people were always the ones who were like, hawking. And well, guess what? Welcome to the old people.
I try not to do it out in public though.
Dude, it's the worst.
So I went to the doctor today. Again, another. I've never been to the doctor so much as I had this year. I told you, my CVS pharmacy is like, they're getting a lot of money from us between my daughter and myself. But I went to I'm getting a PSA blood draw. Yeah. Because I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. And he's like, well, let's do your PSA. And I'm like, now I'm waiting for those numbers. I'm not looking forward to that. But everything seems fine. So I'm not.
You're fine.
But anyway, I'm in the office and there's a guy next to me coughing so much. And I'm like, I feel your pain, man. And then he ended up getting up and leaving because he was coughing so much.
Or maybe you were bugging him too much.
No, I didn't say anything to him.
I
was just in my head. I'm like, I feel you. I was like, I'm not gonna tell you. I get it. But yeah, so
that is the worst. I feel like I love that you said like your wife is like, you're bugging me, because I could tell like my wife. I am like, she's sometimes clearly indicates that I'm driving her nuts because I'm either blowing my nose or kind of hawking. Look, we're talking about something gross. If you think about what post-nasal drip, that's so gross. Yeah. But it happens with allergies, and I'm like, all the time. Yeah. And I'm aware that it probably sounds disgusting, like those old people I used to think sounded disgusting. Yeah. Well, now we're those old people.
But those were like, back then, those were like, they smoked. Like, back in the day, those are smoking coughs.
That's
like,
true.
I don't smoke. And I'm like, why am I coughing up so bad? And it's so annoying. Like, I don't need to go to the gym and do abs because I've coughed so much that my whole core is tight. But then I went to Magic Mountain Saturday. So Friday, I didn't do anything. I was like, I got to get rid of this cough. I'm taking my daughter to Magic Mountain for her birthday. Her friend's coming and my son's coming and he's driving. So I was like, it'll be good. So I was all day, just laid in bed, just hung out. You called. I was like, I'm just watching TV. I hate sitting around. I cannot sit around. It drives me crazy. Yeah. So I'm like, I feel a little better. And then in the morning, like 3:30 in the morning, man, post-nasal drip. We're leaving at like 5. I'm coughing up so much, and then we get in the car, and I'm not feeling great. I'm taking like Sudafed. It kind of dries it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the medicine they gave me at the doctor's didn't work, but the Sudafed seems to dry it out during the day. But at night, it doesn't matter. I'm just laying in bed, and it's just making me cough. And I went to Magic Mountain. I was fine all day. And got in the car to come home, coughing. We went to Wendy's. My son, like, we just coughed in my drink.
Oh.
He dumped it out. I'm like, I can't help it. I don't know why I'm coughing all of a sudden.
That's the worst.
It's like when I'm doing stuff and not thinking about it, it's fine. But if I'm just sitting here, I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So I don't know where it's at. And then my wife's looking at the paper from the quick care. She's like, if it doesn't go away in 3 days or gets worse, go to the ER. I'm like, I'm not going to the ER.
Yeah.
Or the doc. I'm not even going back there because I think it's just going to go away in a week. And I Googled it because Google's pretty accurate on everything that I found.
Yes.
It could last 2 to 3 weeks.
There you go. The Google machine, dude. I Google machine everything. Yeah, it's got almost all the answers.
So, or it's cancer. That's which.
Yeah.
Based on what I got going on, it could be a side effect of what's going on. So I'm waiting for these exams to come back.
You either have allergies, a cold, or cancer, according to the Google machine.
Yeah.
Well,
Google's
we'll see how
the
it
worst.
goes, dude. Listen, you mentioned way earlier. I know we ended up going off on a tangent.
The
on all
VBS
of that.
thing?
The VBS thing. So what did you guys call yours again? Over at Hope?
Yeah, Summerfest.
Summerfest.
Yeah.
That's awesome. At our little church, I'm not going to bring up specifics, but I like to talk about talking crap a little bit. Okay? Because here's why. Right before you and I went on the air, we, as per usual, said, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. We went back and forth. You're waiting on some blood results. You keep staring at your phone because you're waiting to see if you're dying of prostate cancer again.
Yeah, they're not going to come in 2 hours.
Well, and so we're kind of going back and forth, and then for some reason we started talking
about... PSA, get your public service announcement. Get your PSA done if you're over 40, man.
A public service announcement, a PSA.
To get your PSA.
To get your PSA, your prostate-specific...
Whatever
that means.
I mean, I know my numbers from... I skipped a year on my PSA. But go back to your Summerfest.
Okay, Summerfest VBS.
Talking crap.
And then we prayed as we do, and we say, God, just give us some clarity on what to talk about. And clearly we kind of went nuts and off track for a little bit here. The coughing stuff, but okay. One of the things...
Well, that's where I got the cough from the kids, I'm sure.
I'm sure of it. So, but
which
one
is
of the
fine.
things,
I don't mind.
One of the things we talked about was like, man, isn't that funny? Like you're meeting these people all the time, or
Yeah.
And at the pharmacy, I'm like, did you share Jesus or anything? No, it's different people every time.
Yeah.
You kind of see.
And I'm coughing a lot. I don't want to be coughing on them.
Yeah.
You know Jesus. Well, you better know him now.
He's about to die.
You can get pneumonia.
I'm spreading the prostate cancer by my cough. Okay.
Stop saying prostate cancer.
I know. All right. So you did that. We did VBS. I just want to share real fast.
Yeah. Up in the mountain.
Yeah, we're up on the mountain. It's great. It's wonderful. It was kind of one of our smaller attended years in just the last couple, but it's fine. Yeah. It was okay. Long story short, it's wonderful.
Even if you get one, buddy.
Even if you get one, you're sharing Jesus. You're having a good time with kids.
It might not be fun for the one kid, but
no, it was fine. Here's my point. There is an individual who claims to be a Christian. They probably are. It's between them and God. I can never make that decision for a person who ended up making some comments like their kid or grandkid went for a couple days, 1 or 2 of the days, only for a short period of time. Let me give full disclosure. Please don't bring too much detail up. You know some of the detail, and here's why.
I'm not bringing any up. I'm going to let you say it. I'm just going to tell you my opinion.
Okay. Well, my point is I failed miserably. Let me jump ahead real fast. I failed miserably by responding and reacting to one person.
Talking to you?
No, I didn't talk to that person, but just responding and reacting the way I did.
Okay.
I failed, and I was actually very convicted by it later as I was doing my own personal Bible study.
Right.
And what I was convicted by was this. I responded, and I should not have. Right. Because even as we know, Jesus, as Isaiah even pointed out, even when his critics spit in his face, all these things, and Isaiah even prophesied Jesus like a lamb to slaughter wouldn't even open his mouth.
Right.
And there are so many biblical principles. Moses in Numbers chapter 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there, his own brother and sister were criticizing him, and the conviction I received on that was that he didn't respond to their criticisms.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I did. I sort of responded.
Yeah,
it's
human nature though, bro.
But that's where if you're considering yourself someone who's growing in Christ, you should be better at that. Is all I'm getting at.
Yeah, we should be.
Okay, so anyway.
I'm not.
If you're listening, you're like, what are you even talking about? Basically, someone who claims to be a Christian who goes to another church, and I'm sure that they're a believer in Jesus, right? Yeah. However, I just sent you that text. Do they claim the label or do they follow the leader? I sent you that text.
Yeah, you sent me that text out of blue. I'm like, what are you talking about?
And because here's why. So many people say, I'm a Christian. So many people say, I know the Word of God. I'm an expert in the Bible. But then they don't actually follow the leader. They're not following. If you're claiming to be a Christian,
Right.
are you following Jesus? And so what does the Bible tell us? It's Ephesians 4:29 in summary says, don't talk crap, build people up, especially fellow believers. James says that in his letter, build people up, James chapter 4. Yeah. Proverbs 26:20, gossip is like fuel for a fire, basically is what that says. And there's many other Bible verses, but the point is, if you're a believer, are you helping to build up other churches, encourage people in Jesus, encourage them to get somewhere? Or are you tearing down other churches, other Christians? Are you talking crap?
Wow, that's funny you say that. I didn't mention this to you. I went to lunch with some friends and we were talking about an old job that I was at. And I was like, why do I keep doing this? Like, because it's a church, it's a Christian school, it's a church. And sometimes it makes me so mad the things they do. But the one thing that I did say they do well is they disciple the students there well. I don't like the way they run it, and I don't like the way they treat the employees, but what it did for my kids was great. But I'm like, I came home and I told my wife, I'm like, I'm trying to stop talking about people and churches and other things. I'm like, because what does it make me? Does it build me up to talk about them? I'm like, I don't know. So I'm prayerful about it. I'm like, please just stop talking about people. But I love gossip. I love talking crap. And then I'm like, why do I do that? Why? Like, who am I? I'm not better than anybody else. I mean, but it's one of my things now, as far as when you're talking about sin in your life, like for a long time, especially for young men and older men and men in general, lust and pornography was a hard thing to kick. So you're like, okay, if I can kick that, everything else is gravy. Right. Yeah. But it's not, man. It's like, now I really like gossip. Yeah. Like I really like, and then people make me mad and I'll just talk about them at church or this or that. And that's the hypocrisy of the Christian church sometimes, you know. Who do I think I am that I'm better than somebody else, you know?
Isn't that funny though? The talk, okay, you're putting
it drives me crazy though sometimes.
But people do. They always do. And so here's what's funny. I am not kidding. I just shared this with you. I've kind of got outlines because I'm studying through the book of James, have been for a year preaching and teaching on it. It's more of a framework, right? We end up all over the Bible. But in James chapter 4, he's literally talking about like 4 verse 11 and 12. Don't talk crap about each other. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know, God is the judge. So when you're talking crap, you're kind of playing God over people's life. Like, oh, I could do it better, or they should or could, or what, etc. Right? Yeah. But the problem is everybody does it, and I have to deal with it. I'm going to kind of share this at church. It's interesting. I don't know if anyone from my church that I attend, that I pastor over, is listening ever, but it's so they're probably.
Are they still there at your church?
Some people are.
Of course. Probably not then.
No, right, but no. The point is,
just John, man. What's wrong
if I've been there for 52 weeks, which has been more than that, I would tell you, I'm being honest.
I know.
25 out of 52 weeks, I've probably right before church or at some point during the Sunday, just on a Sunday, had someone come up and say something about someone else where I'm trying to like, oh, hey, you know, and it's interesting to me that, but here's the thing, I'm guilty of the same, of ending up talking about people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can just paint a bit, I can make it sound prettier.
Yeah, and I don't do it to people at church. Like, I'll talk about people to my wife or to like my circle of friends.
Right.
But like when I'm at church and talk pastors and stuff, I don't do that. Yeah. But I would never come up to you as a pastor and be like, hey, you know that did this and this and this, and I'm tired of this and this. I would never do that. I'm like,
well, I get it all the time. It's
that's
insane
crazy
to me. Right. Yeah. It throws me off. And I mean, and by the way, I'm not bashing those people. In fact, what it means is there's a person who, these are individuals. All of us are guilty of this, by the way. I'm guilty of this. I'm not saying them, they. I'm saying me too. But we all have this tendency to kind of express sometimes those things that we, to other people, that maybe we should, one, first pray about, give it up to God, and then two, maybe just address with the individual specifically, if it even is required. And by the way, that's Matthew, I think, chapter 18. That's the biblical approach, is to approach the person you think you have an issue with or you want to gossip about, if you feel like they're off. And if that, and by the way, is it biblically off? Otherwise, keep your opinion to yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an issue, right? Like,
yeah, it's my biggest issue now. I feel like I've been better at it, and I'll catch myself. Like, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to say this. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm just going to leave it.
Here's what's funny. Seth isn't here today, but he even says it.
You know what? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, let's talk about Seth for a while.
Yeah.
No, but he even says it. He, I forget, right? He's always so good at that. He says like the 4 H's. Is it helpful, healing?
Heartfelt.
Happy,
heartfelt. I don't know.
Hogwash.
Yeah,
I don't know what he says.
I never pay attention when he talks. No,
same. Sorry, Seth.
No, he don't even listen to the podcast. So
he probably won't hear it anyway. But it's but you know, he has kind of an intentional way of putting it. But the reality is, over and over and over, the Bible says that if you're following Christ, if you really are growing, then yes, you should address fellow believers. Like we had a guy and who was mad at us talking about baptism or whatever and he jumps on there. Maybe that guy's a genuine Christian and he's so convicted by his belief that you have to be baptized to be saved. I'm not trying to bring that episode up, but here's what I will share with you. You know that's awesome if he's so convicted that he's going to at least address us directly and say, hey, this is what I believe to be true. Now, I feel like he was probably pretty harsh about it, but that's okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's okay, though.
Yeah,
because
I don't care.
That's, as a Christian, what we're called to do is, hey, if you're off, if I believe Alan Underwood is off, hey, Alan, like you're one of my very best friends. We're both followers of Jesus in this area of your life, X, Y, or Z. Hey, man, I just noticed X, Y, or Z in the most compassionate and loving way because, that whole but by the grace of God, there go I. I'm no better. But you know what I do instead? Instead of saying, hey, Alan, the way I saw you driving your car recently, I feel like, you were flipping people off, running red lights. That doesn't represent Jesus with your giant, hope sticker on the back of the bumper. Instead of doing that, though, I'm like, that Alan, have you ever watched him drive? He drives like an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we all do that.
We do that. I do that all the time. Yeah. I'm going to name a few people at my church that drive me crazy. No, I'm just kidding.
Same. Let me do it right now.
I got a bunch of them. I'll start alphabetically.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's just funny, right? Because then I can, I think it's either Pollyanna. No, Parent Trap. Haley Mills, old school movie. Haley Mills. And there's I think it's the maid lady that works for the dad. I'm talking about a movie no one probably nowadays has ever even heard of. And but there's the old lady, she's the gossip, and she's like, I don't say a word, not one word. And then she goes on to say what she's saying, like, he's always got his girlfriend around here, or whatever she's talking about. Yeah. But that's all I ever see. So as a Christian, you're telling me before we got started that might be one of the biggest things you're working on.
Isn't it saying in the Bible what are the greatest commandments? What's number 1 and what's number 2? Love your neighbor.
You're not saying the 10 commandments. You're saying the big ones. Yeah, like kind of from the Shema. And then Jesus says, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, body, strength. And then
I only
love
know
others
that.
as you love yourself. Yeah.
Remember that because we were watching The Chosen, the new season. And he was like, he's yelling at the Pharisees. I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to do that.
It is. You know what? Very true. I know we kind of said this earlier too. Do we get into some of the politics and stuff? It's Independence Week and all this. And we kind of said, I don't know, maybe let's just talk about, we prayed about it and decided let's just kind of talk about talking crap a little bit because of this. But I love that.
But that's what the world does now.
That's actually where these wars, rumors of wars, all these things are always happening is because everyone thinks they have a better way. Yeah. Or their way is the right way or the only way. And so that's what Jesus even shared when he was questioned, right? Exactly what you're bringing up. What's the best of all the commands, the top of the commandments? And he's like, first and foremost, when he says that, it's saying that it's a recognition that there is one God. Love the Lord your God, the one God. That's actually very specific.
With all your heart.
And it's all your heart, mind, soul, strength, everything you have. In other words, humble yourself completely under the one true God and say, okay, God, you're real. You know what I mean?
I feel like if you do that completely, everything else would be falling into place.
No, that's okay, dude. You're jumping ahead to the study that I'm going to be preaching on the next couple of weeks. That's what James is talking about in many times, basically in chapter 4, especially where he's talking about humble yourself and God will use you because as you get closer to God, as you represent Jesus more, if you believe in Jesus, you recognize he's God. You say, okay, you're the Lord over my life. I want everything to do about you. The actual Bible teaches exactly that. As you follow him, you'll realize the more I want to follow him, the more I want to be like him. Am I a label Christian or am I a follower of the leader of Christianity, of Jesus, right? Kind of the quote I sent you. Because as you follow him, then all of those things that the Bible calls the royal law, the law of liberty, they fall into place because if you want to be like Jesus, then you're going to want to help people, love people, meet people where they're at, treat them kindly, not talk crap about them. You know what I mean?
Yep. So. Yeah, and I think that's where I fall short. Like maybe I need to work on that.
Yeah, me too, dude. That's called sanctification. We're a work in progress. We got to get better at it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So tell me about this guy who was talking about the church. No,
I didn't even say it was a guy. But I mean, okay, I'm going to use
guy is just a general.
Okay, but listen, it is a really good example, though. Yeah, no, but it is a really good example of saying because I want to share a little bit about this individual. What they first bashed. Oh, this, I heard. Well, first of all, when you hear from a child what they say, they're going to kind of parrot those things that you consistently already say because they want to please you anyways. So you can't just say from the mouth of babes all the time.
Right. Okay. And it's hard to say when you're not in the building.
You can't. You of course can never. You can take a little bit. Believe me, dude. I investigated some of the most complicated crimes you can do, like murder, secret murder. I can literally have a 5 or a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old who was possibly a witness to it. I can interview them. Okay, they call that forensic interviews and stuff. There's a certain way to do this. You can glean some pretty solid facts or a nice framework from what to follow up on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, correct.
But they also, children, like a lot of people really, and hopefully compassionate type people especially, want to please the adult and get out of the situation, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Get out of the pressure situation or the conversation, and or just make you proud of them. Okay, especially family. So my point is, if an individual heard this, but then that's okay. If the kid is right, by the way, the kid might have been right in what they said to this person. Yeah. It's now going on.
Or that's what they thought,
or how they felt.
Yeah.
Exactly, and because the summary is this: apparently a child was picked up and said, they never gave the gospel or whatever. Yeah. They were only there for like 2 out of the 5 days, but also I'm like, that's crazy because the gospel was given in every single song, every single message.
Oh, I know how our VBS does it. The gospel was over the 5-day period.
So this one, we do it every day. It's in some of the songs and stuff. However, here's the thing: it's not maybe articulated exactly as that child has been articulated within their home.
Yeah.
They have been told exactly whatever, right?
Yeah.
They may not have been taught Romans 6:23, Romans 3:23, all fall short. Yeah. The wages of sin is death. Romans 5:8, while we're still sinners, Christ died for us. Maybe they've only heard John 3:16 or Ephesians 2:8 and 9. Do you see what my point is?
Yeah.
So then they didn't really pick up on that these were different verses, different approach. Doesn't matter. That's wonderful. Share the gospel however you give it.
Yeah.
The flip side is, if you find out that if they're a God-honoring, Christ-centered, Bible-believing church that's just doing the best they can to reach people, but then you hear it didn't go exactly according to the framework that you think, you should not, I'm telling you biblically, go out and bash. That's called gossip and maligning and undermining and usurping.
Another
go out
church.
And bash another church. But also, here's the worst part. It wasn't just that. It was also then bashing even another church and then saying, I could do a much better job than this. Now you have legitimately breached so many biblical principles that it's crazy.
Yeah.
But guess what?
We're human.
and I do the same thing.
Yeah, we're human.
I can't even be mad. I was so convicted by it. I was so mad when I first saw it.
Right.
I'm like, but yet I'm doing it. I'm almost doing it right now in reverse.
Yeah, almost in reverse. I get it. I mean, we're talking about it, so we're going over it. But I do it too. Like I went to another church, and I probably done it on here, and I actually really love that church. But I would get mad because the church I'm at now helped me so much more than that church.
Right.
But I also didn't help myself. So I would talk about that, but it was on me too. It had nothing to do with church. Where I'm at right now is because of that church.
Right.
Even though I'm at a different church now. Where I'm at now, sitting here with you, started at that church.
Right.
So they discipled me in a way, just like the school that I might talk crap about, which I'm trying to stop.
Yep.
I'm here. They just instilled, not only in my kids, but in me, because I work there, some good biblical principles as well. Yeah. So there's good things too. I mean, we're human beings, and just like these churches, I think we fail, and I failed because I never worked at a church until I retired. Mm-hmm. And it's a business as well. I know it's different. Like when I say it's a business, I'm not like, it's not like a 7-Eleven or something.
But it has to pay bills.
It has to run
100%.
efficiently. It has to have good people in place. It has to have the right-minded people in place, and it has to have
policies, procedures. We're in this world. We may not be of it, but we have to function in this world.
So we think of a church sometimes as like, oh, it's okay, you'll be fine. No, you can't say that, and you can't do that. And you can't be here if these are the things that you're going to say and do. Right. We love you and we'll pray for you. We'll do whatever. I mean, that's kind of a cop out, I think, sometimes when you go, we'll pray for you.
Sometimes, but it's 1 Corinthians, I think, chapter 9, around there, apologies without looking it up, that talks about that you can address issues and then you can address them with other believers as witnesses. Then you can address them with a congregation. It doesn't. Eventually, you just have to completely part company. Eventually, I have to say, hey, man, good luck, but you're causing damage. Yep. So I guess to that point, I know we should probably almost wrap up, but to that point is, I'm not so naive also to say that churches don't cause damage. There are pastors teaching from pulpits that are actually causing damage and family damages and damages to individuals because they're consistently harping on theirs is the only way, which is wrong. Jesus is the only way. The Word of God is the only way. But what do we use the Word of God for? Not to worship the Word of God, but to get to know who God is and get to know who Jesus is so we could act like Him.
Isn't it like, the hope says that the church and the pastor is not the church. We are the church. The people are the church.
That's correct.
They're just here to guide us and tell us, and what we do with that is on us. Because I come home and I read my Bible, I pray, I do my and I didn't go to church yesterday because I mainly didn't want to be coughing the whole time. Yeah. But I watched it online and it was about prayer and stuff. And I'm like, I got to be more prayerful, and so I'm trying to be more prayerful as well about my sin, about the things that I do, and about be consistent, because that was a big key to the prayer thing. Is like I can't just pray one time and be like, oh, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Praying for my daughter to be saved, and what? She not saved today? You know,
Yeah.
10 years later, it might work out. Consistent prayer.
Patience and long suffering is a real solid, admirable attribute
And
of someone growing.
And pray for good prostate numbers.
Well, okay, so listen, let's wrap up. In summary, here's the thing.
You know, like prostate number one?
Here's the summary. In summary, don't be afraid. God's got your prostate. You're fine. And also, though, he has your future, so you should never be afraid.
Correct. Yes.
But also, when
I have felt more at peace, I will tell you that.
I've noticed it, because we're not talking every day where you're like, I might be dying right now.
I am,
which
dying
you
right
are.
now.
Still. We all are. You're exactly right. But anyways, talking crap.
We got to stop.
We got to stop, and yet,
especially as Christians.
Even right now, my prayer is that even what we just talked about, that even though I brought up an individual that I was frustrated about, my prayer is it doesn't. I am not trying to talk crap. In fact, I actually prayed pretty hard for that individual and have now almost every day for several weeks, just because it's been on my heart.
Yeah.
But I need to get better at this. I would never try to act like I'm not doing. I'm probably the worst of all these people who talk crap.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. Every day we just try and get better. I mean, that's me. I mean, every morning I wake up. Every morning I wake up, I'm like, hey, thanks for waking me up. I'm gonna try my best today. Let's see how this goes.
And then I mess up about 4 minutes into it. But yeah,
I've been perfect today. So
yes, that's good, dude.
All
right, man. Hey, don't talk crap. Build people up, share Jesus, and be blessed.
Yep. Thank you.